And this is Ken Kreitzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio today at the Navy League. And I have a chance to talk to the president of the New York City chapter of the Navy League, and that is Colonel retired Charles Bleach of the Marine Corps. And Colonel, good to see you. I hear you're also a member of the American Legion Post.
Yes, I'm a member of the Staten Island Merrill Post, and now I'm the current president of the New York Council of the Navy League, retired Marine Corps reservist, also a retired New York City Deputy Fire Chief.
Oh, that's great, boy. That you've done a lot. Now, tell us a little bit about the Navy League and some of the activities. I've really enjoyed these morning sessions that you have 5 or 6 times a year down in New York City.
So the purpose of one of the main purposes of the Navy League is to promote education of the Navy, and we certainly accomplished that today with Admiral Mustin's presentation about the surface Navy. We had a tremendous. We had probably about 70 people here, and we had a lot of questions and answers. And we also provide a big support to the youth movements throughout the city, junior ROTC programs, young Marines, things of that nature, to encourage the youth to get involved, knowing about the military, and perhaps making a career out of it.
And boy, you mentioned our friend Rear Admiral John Mustin. I was at a session that he spoke at a couple of years ago, and he really talked about some of the changes in the Navy, new technology, but also more of an orientation on warfighting from a period where going into a period where there may be more threats. What were some of the highlights that you heard from Admiral Mustin today?
Well, certainly we heard about his integrating the entire Navy, regardless of being aviators, submariners, or surface officers, putting them all together so that they actually can fulfill their defined mission of protecting our country.
Very good. And tell us, if you would, about your career of service in the U.S. Marine Corps.
So I'm a Vietnam vet. I was an artillery officer on active duty with the Marine Corps. I did spend 30 years in the Marine Corps between active duty and reserve components. We were activated for 1 year for Desert Storm 1. I was the commanding officer of the 2nd Battalion, 25th Marines out of Garden City as an infantry battalion. And I spent my other time in various different billets in the Marine Corps Reserve. And in the fire department, as I say, I retired as a deputy chief.
Well, that's great. You've, like Admiral Mustin, who has done a lot, you must have learned how to manage your time very well. What are some of the things that allowed you to have a civilian career in the fire department and then also stay in the Marine Corps Reserve, which has its responsibilities? How did you manage time?
Well, it certainly is a time management effort. I'm sure my wife would say I probably mismanaged most of my time effort. But however, you have to respect reservists, particularly reservists who work 5 days a week. My schedule had night tours and day tours, so occasionally I would have a series of days off and do a lot of my reserve functions. If a man or woman is working 5 days a week, to devote that extra time on a weekend is certainly very pro-country, pro-support our defense industry.
Very good. And just got to ask you about your post out in Staten Island. What's your post number? And tell us a little bit about it, if you would.
It's the Merrill Post. We meet monthly on Cary Avenue in Staten Island. I'm drawing a blank on the number, but I will. A great group of people there, some of whom are very supportive of always keeping the Congressional Medal of Honor winner Merrill remembered.
Well, that's great. We appreciate your service. You've done so a lot, and we really enjoy being able to attend these Navy League events here in Manhattan. Great to see you today.
Hope you come back.
Oh, absolutely. I've been doing it for a couple of years. They're great. So from the Navy League in New York City, this is Ken Kreitzer for CBSI Services.